My name is Stefan Brigati, and I've been investigating the paranormal for over 30 years. Come along with me and my team as we take a journey into the unknown. This is My Darkest Hour.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And this is what it sounds like when the mute is not on. Anyway, tonight's show, I want to let you guys know that for you guys who have followed me for the show for the past 13 years, know that I used to do a lot of paracons up north in Northern California. And one of the places I used to go to, it was across the border in Nevada, was Virginia City. And some of my favorite paracons, I did about 10 paracons up there with my good friend Doug. He brought a lot of great people together, and that's what a lot of these paracons are really all about. They're all about people like you come in to learn more about the paranormal, to experience more about the paranormal, and to meet some of these great people. And for me, a paracon is kind of like not just an event show, but it's a gathering of family and friends. Because how many times do I go to these events and I see a lot of you out there? You're always coming up to me and telling me what's happening, what you've been doing, showing me what you guys have. I get to spend some time with my good friends who are speakers from all over the world. And going back to Virginia City, I met some great friends from some of those paracons. And tonight, I really want you guys to know two of my friends from there. Tonight, we're going to have on the show is Ellen MacFarlane and Devin Sisk. And I really want you guys to see what they're all about. And they will be speaking at the Pacific Coast Paracon as well in June coming up. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and bring them on the show and find out what's been going on with them and give you guys a chance to see what they're all about. So let's go ahead. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Hey. There we go. How's everybody doing tonight? I mean, Ellen, how are you?
I'm doing
Stefan,
great.
how are you? Everybody is good?
Great.
Excellent. So it's good to be on. And yes, actually, yeah, we met through Doug's Paracons. I was on his team for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was with NPI. And
I actually met
Devin
I met Devin at Doug's Paracon.
Oh my God, that's right. We met at
Preston Castle.
Mm-hmm. And then we started, we were friends. And then it was like, well, let's go into business together. So it ties into exactly what you're saying about these paracons, that you meet people and then you start working with them and you start, pushing, like with Ellen and I, we both push each other's buttons. I mean, limits.
Sometimes they work together,
Yeah, exactly. So we tried to push ourselves to go into different directions in the paranormal. We're constantly challenging each other, and everybody we work with on our so-called team, we teach them to do the same thing. It's like we are very big about thinking outside the box, to follow the norm, don't follow the same old routine.
You got to mix it up. And you know what? Even the spirits will appreciate that. They get all these people who are going in places and they're just doing what they're seeing on TV over and over again. It's like, and I teach at the university. I'm like, no. You want to be the different guy, because they're tired of all those guys. They're at the point after the third group comes in, they're already taken off. They're hiding. They don't want to be a part of this anymore. But if you got a different attitude, you're fun and you're exciting, and you might want to talk about what the spirits might want to talk about, then it's about that, and they'll want to talk to you more, and you get better EVPs. You never know.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Cool.
Ellen is very big about, she always, she does this great impression of people going in, and, like you just said, people go in like third group in, and they're like, how did you die? What is your name? It's like, just stop. You had to go in there with
I always tell people go in there and ask something different that people aren't going to ask. Like, what would the spirit want to talk about? One of my favorite questions is, hey, did you ever eat ice cream? What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Yeah.
Something like that. Because they're like, oh yeah, ice cream. I used to eat that. And my chocolate chip was great, Just something different.
Yeah, we have on our Sonoma tour, because we have two tours. We do one in Napa and we do one in Sonoma. In Sonoma, we have a little guy. His name is Charlie. And Charlie's anywhere between the age of 6 and 9 years old. He was an orphan child. So he's not really sure of his age. Okay. We have noticed that he loves to communicate with us and he loves to play games with us. And when we get boring and mundane, all communication.
Yeah, he stops.
Yeah.
He stops. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to constantly think of new ways of interacting and, exciting him. And a lot of times it ends up being very exciting for us too.
Yeah, like he's bored of the spirit box right now. So forget that. He's not going to come on over the spirit box. But if you put the little cat balls that light up out there, he likes those.
Toys. Totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that with Jackie at the Queen Mary. I have a wand that lights up and it glows and it flashes and all that stuff. And she wasn't having any of that. But, I get it. From a little girl from her era, she's like, I'm not touching that thing. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I get it.
Electricity is dangerous, Yeah.
And then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, this probably looks like some kind of weapon to a little kid from, the 1930s. Totally.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie's gone from, we used to play a game of hide and go seek with him, with our tour guests. And we would hide a little car or fire truck on one of our guests. And then another guest who didn't see where the fire truck or car went would use one dowsing rod and, with Charlie's help, go find the car.
And he was about 90% accurate.
Yeah.
Unless he got distracted and didn't want to do it. But he usually was very well entertained with that game.
Yeah. And that lasted for a good stretch. And then after a while, he was just like, nah, I'm good. So
now his thing is to have him hide it in the park.
Yeah.
There you go. Kids like to play in the park. One of the things I like to use, candy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Candy, and that brings them out. They're like, oh, what? It's like, yeah, I got this for you, man.
Well, it was cool. It's funny you should mention that, because this area that we work in Sonoma, there's this one little window that has, it's got a ledge because it's an old stone building. Yeah. And when we work with Charlie, we always leave him either coins or we leave him candy. Okay. And one of my favorite stories there is that we were doing this, and it was near Halloween. And I left them some candy and I left them some coins. And then we had another tour there a couple days later. And the whole windowsill, which was about 3 feet wide, was filled with candy and coins and bottle caps and tam bark. And it was like people were leaving stuff
and
for
messages
him.
written out in bark. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
cool.
it's like the kids know the story about Charlie, and it's kind of become, I don't want to say urban legend, but yeah, exactly. So he's an icon now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. At least he's not alone. He's got people coming and visit him, and then you know, people thinking about him, giving him all that extra energy. So why not? That sounds great.
Yeah, we've tried crossing him, but he doesn't want to go. He's just not ready.
Oh yeah.
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 Well, it is up to them when they're ready to cross. You know.
Absolutely.
You only lead them to the point and say, well, if you want here, your family's over here waiting for you and whatever. But if they're still having fun with the other kids on the block, then they're going to keep playing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think I don't know if he's just terrified of where it goes, and he understands this existence right now.
Yeah.
So, and we've tried to explain it to him, you know, but hopefully one day, right?
Yeah, and then he'll be surprised because it's like way better over there than it is over here right now.
Oh
so,
yeah, 100%. 100%.
I should have done this a long time ago. That kind of stuff.
Hey, they were right. What do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the questions I like to ask my guests on the show. And since I have both of you, let's see. Devin, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
One of the questions I'd like to ask is, everybody has their beginning paranormal story. What got them into the paranormal? You know, what are the things? How young were you? What were the steps that led to your journey to where you are now? If you can kind of give us a quick reference.
Okay. So, what my introduction to the paranormal was, I had a near-death experience. I ended up dying in the ER room. I ended up stepping out of my body. I watched all the nurses and doctors work on me. I did a little loop in the ER room because I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because your mind does funny things at that point. You know, I thought somebody was pulling a joke on me. I went back over to the bed that I came out of because I don't realize what's going on yet. And I see me, and I have ice on my body, and there's tubes and IVs and everything. A nurse goes over and starts doing chest compressions on me, and I'm watching her. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. As soon as I said that, I started going backwards. Okay. And remember the old tube TV sets, how they would sit there and they would go like this? Yeah. And they would kind of go, they would just box in. Okay.
Yeah.
My angle is way off. But they would make a rectangle and go in, and then they'd do a fine pin of light. And the entire time I'm watching the ER, and I could see everything. I could see movement, but then it's getting smaller and further away and smaller and further away until finally, fine pin of light snapped out. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting on this crushed velvet couch. And to be very honest with you, I was very worried for a second because it was like crushed red velvet couch. It was pretty badass. Felt like it came out of a rock and roll club or a blues club. I mean, it was just an amazing couch. I had the overwhelming feeling of love. I wasn't feeling any pain anymore for that moment in my life. That was amazing. And I had this like weird, overwhelming feeling of coming home. Like, you've been gone 8 months and you're going to sleep in your bed tonight, and you're just cracking open the sheets and you're going to get inside your bed and you're like, I'm home. Felt like that. But that overwhelming feeling of love was like, that was wild. It was like turned up all the way. And then as I'm sitting there on the couch, I'm vibing, and watching everything around me, and all I see is trees and, you know, green grass and rolling hills. 3 people who came up behind the couch and they're asking, you know, they greet me and they're like, "We were with you when this happened." Okay, so they're telling me like really bad stories of my life. And as the way Ellen says it, it must have been exit points in my life. Because, like, for instance, one of them, I was working 3 jobs at one point, and I ended up wrapping a Honda Civic around a telephone pole.
Oh, wow.
Because I fell asleep. I woke up with the engine right next to me. Like, my arm was leaning on the engine like this.
Wow.
I undid my safety belt, went out, and I called somebody. And, you know, I didn't have a scratch and there was nothing wrong with me. You know, so they were like, "Yeah, we were with you when this happened." So I'm like, "Okay, I get it. You're my guardian angels, spirit guides, whatever you believe in." We talked for a little bit. That part's mine. And then they're like, "Well, you've been given a great gift. You can continue on with the work, or you can continue on with the journey." My first thought was my son. My son, who is now 24, has cerebral palsy, and he was probably about 2 at the time, and we were just figuring out that he had cerebral palsy. And I was like, I got to be with my kid. I'm not going to bail on my son. He needs his dad. And that made my decision. I was literally dropped from space, slammed back into my body. Meanwhile, back on Earth, 17 minutes had passed, and they had wheeled my body from the stall to the goodbye room. And I took a deep breath and came to. And yeah, it was pretty terrifying. So, but I was in hospital for about 17 days after that as well. Food poisoning is no joke.
No, especially when it comes from taquitos.
Yes. I can tell you where not to eat in Antioch, California.
Yeah. But when you came back, were you just thrown back into all the pain and everything? Your body was feeling again?
Yes, like 100% felt everything.
Brutal.
And it you know, you read accounts or listen to other interviews, and it's the same thing. We all get dropped from space or way up high, and when you slam back in your body, it's almost like getting hit by a truck. Okay, so there's the pain of that, and then the initial pain of whatever trauma you're going through at the time. You know, for me, it was food poisoning, and what ended up killing me was 108, 109 fever, which threw my body into cardiac arrest. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a party. So, how does that lead into the paranormal? Okay. I wanted to figure out why I was given a choice to come back. There's definitely another side. How come some spirits stay behind? How do I help those spirits? You know, so my whole goal was to figure out, how do I help those that are trapped here get to the other side?
So basically, you started on a whole new journey. They're saying you can continue your work, which means, hey, you're going to continue this journey and help other people, or you can move on. And I mean, obviously, you made the right choice because your kids are very important. And I'm glad you made that choice, because I wouldn't have met you then. You know,
thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about that story before, and I remember telling my wife about that story. I'm like, yeah, Devin went to the other side and experienced this and that. And she thought that was fascinating, because we come across people that have done that, and their stories are so different, but kind of the same at the same time.
It's I've noticed that when I run into another person with crossing, and it's weird, because I can almost tell that they've been on the other side, because I don't know if you just there's some weird vibration on them. And it's like, I met somebody else, and I'm like looking at them, and I'm like, I know you have been over there, you know, and it does something to you. It really, it changes your whole perspective on everything.
Yeah, it kind of really wakes you up and like, okay, so everything they've been talking about does really exist, and then it makes you kind of think about your life, and you kind of get it more focused and dialed in better because you know something. So
Absolutely.
no more guesswork, and we know there's no guesswork because we're talking to spirits all the time.
Yeah.
We know something's happening, but just to what extent? And
Right.
because this world, the dirt ball that we're on is pretty small compared to the vast of everything. I mean, it's incredible, unbelievable. And I'm sure even after this passing, there might be something else at the end of the next section or something. Who knows?
Oh yeah, we don't know where we go totally, you know, and when it all happens, you know. So everything's a journey, you know.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that. So, Ellen, what about you? Tell us your story.
Well, mine isn't as exciting as Devin's.
Yes,
I'm actually come from a line of Irish mediums. So it runs in my family. It runs through my dad's side. My cousins all have the same kind of abilities. So whenever I go back to Ireland, they're like, "You're not special. You know, get over yourself." So, but and when I was about 5, I started seeing dead people standing around my bed at night. So I would hide from them under the covers, and eventually I don't really see with my eyes anymore. I see with my mind's eye, and I hear. I'm deaf in one ear. I'm deaf in my left ear. I will hear them through my left ear. And so that's how I know that a spirit is communicating with me. But when I was about 10 years old, my mom died suddenly of a brain aneurysm. And I spent my whole time trying to find her and contact her. So I started reading everything as a teen, trying Ouija boards, trying to go to mediums, trying to work with it. And meanwhile, I was emerging and noticing that I would be hearing things before they were being said. um, I would also have the sensitivity of haunted places and of being able to commute with people who were dead. I was able to turn it on and turn it off. Fortunately, I learned that at an early age because I think I'd be insane right now if I hadn't learned that.
Yeah.
But as I went through, I went to my 30s. My kids were born, and I felt very much that I was more in touch with the spirit world because I had to listen for them as well. So I was protecting them and listening for them. So that was a big part of my journey and a big turning point. And then when I was in my 40s, Devin and I went to Salem, and we went to see a witch, and we went and saw her, and she gave us a reading, and my mom came through. My mom hadn't come through that entire time. I'd never made contact with her. And I said, "Where have you been? Why haven't you made any contact?" And she said, "If I had come through, you never would have learned to do what you do." And my gift now is as a locator. I've worked with the FBI, I've worked with law enforcement. I'm not so much a readings medium as I am a locator. And we'll probably be sharing those stories with you at your Paracon with some of my cases that I've worked on, that type of thing. But that's how I got into the paranormal.
That's amazing. So it basically runs in your family.
Yes. Yes.
Did any of your family try to help you with that? Kind of give you some tips and advice?
No. My dad was terrified of it, and he would, always just be like, "No," But my grandmother was scared of it. She would go to mass twice a day, and she would say the whole rosary every night. She was very scared of it. And of course, we didn't have contact with the family in Ireland until when I was in my 20s when I went there for the first time. So I didn't, I didn't know anything about that until I eventually started visiting there several times through my growing up, I went there several times and continue to go there every couple of years and learn more each time. But yeah, it basically is a gift from my family.
Wow. You would hope somebody would, like, maybe grandma or someone, to say, you know what, when I was young like you, I was doing this and stuff too, so this is how I approached it, or something, just kind of get some advice. When I was growing up as a kid, I was taught a lot by my mother. I was very, very fortunate growing up in that time. It was the resurgence of the spiritual movement of the early 70s, coming out of the late 60s, going in the early 70s. So I grew up with my mom and all her witchy friends, and I was just a little kid, so I was engrossed in it right away. And I used to see spirits, but I never thought they were anything weird. I just kind of thought everyone did that, pretty much.
Yeah.
I never thought it was weird that the Indians were coming out of our garage and then going up into my sister's room. They were always nice and friendly and smiled. So I just,
wow.
With spirits, you get that energy surge. You can tell if it's going to be something negative, what kind of vibration is going on. And they all had really high vibrations. So I'm just like, oh, hey, what's going on? I don't know. I'm just a little kid. They were nice.
Right. And I found that as well. Typically spirits, I don't run into a lot of dark spirits. We run into spirits that are like mean, and stuff like that. But even then, most of the time it's just people that are confused that we've run into on the tours. We still get new ghosts on the tours, and we run into them as well. And when we investigate, it's always kind of a crapshoot, isn't it, Devin, about what we're gonna get?
Yeah, it's a hit and miss thing. It's like you have your regular set list of who's going to be there, but then all of a sudden there's other ones that, it's almost like they sit on the sidelines, because one of the questions we ask them is, have you seen us do work out here before? And they'll be like, yeah, I watch you all the time, and it's like, you're just picking tonight to come through for whatever reason, so it's like, we never know who we're going to, run into, really.
No.
Well, that's kind of good, though. It keeps a variety happening, and then if you get the familiar ones you're used to talking to all the time, you're like, hey, why don't you help us out and do this or do that, or to try to like this stuff. Just be cool, light this up. You did it last time, so come on, help me
out.
Yeah, we have a very good relationship with our fellow ghosts, huh?
Yeah, they tend to, like, we always leave them offerings and give them respect.
That's the best part. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, what do you guys? Let's talk about that. When you guys started getting together and working on your ghost walks and stuff, which I'll put the link up right now, napaghost.com, which is awesome. I was able to check some of that stuff out, see what you guys are doing. When did you guys decide to put this together to help other people maybe that were just interested in doing the paranormal?
Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story because Devin had already been doing Benicia, and I knew that he did Benicia. And first and foremost, when I met Devin, I had a few drinks and decided that I was going to go flirt with him.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
went and flirted with him because I needed access into a building in Benicia.
You know what? That's the best way to do it. I do it all the time. I was hey, Jim, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And I did. I got the building access, but I knew that his Benicia tour was good. I went on that, but I had twins and a singleton, so I have 3 kids right now. They're 17, 15, and 15, and they were very close in age. And I knew nobody was going to give me a job because I needed a job really bad at that time with 3 kids. So I wrote the tour and I had it in my hand, and I said, Devin, would you like to do this tour with me? And at first he was just going to consult, but then he really got into it and decided that he wanted to do it. And so we built a tour on that basically because I needed a job. and liked history, and it worked out very well. We've been going for 11 years.
Yep.
That's great.
We've made it through. We've made it through earthquakes, fires, plague, personal tragedies, you name it, and we're still here.
That's what makes that bond stronger.
Yeah.
Tragedy, because everything can be great all the time, but when you have something you really challenging, you just kind of come together and you overcome those challenges, and that just makes everything better. Much
it
more
does.
It was at that meet and greet at the hotel in Ione, the Ione Hotel.
Ione, yeah.
Because I was at the bar there, and then you came rolling up. Hey, hi.
Okay.
Who are you? What? So yeah, and yes, she did get access to the building.
Yes.
Or just enough to get access. That's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
Well, I knew that he would like history, so I knew we would have that in common. So that was the hook. That was the hook.
That's great. You guys make a great team.
Thank you.
Seeing you guys and what you guys do together is fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, come for the wine, stay for the spirits.
Oh, Devin's pun power.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm a dad.
Tell us about that, Devin.
So you're writing, we were coming up with advertising, and we are trying to figure out, what would be good for, because one of the key points that we wanted to make on our tour was the fact that, most people go wine tasting all day in Sonoma and Napa. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, well, come for the wine, stay for the spirits. So they could drink, and then they could come join us, So
yeah. we have a clause that you cannot be drunk on the tour. Yeah. You can't be drunk because it's our insurance, that's not good for us. But
they're really annoying. So,
yes, exactly. Yes. If they're tipsy, it's fine. It's fine. But most people are I'd say 90% of people are good about not coming on the tour. But we've had our people that we could do a whole show on drunkenness and having to call the cops. So that could be
my God.
Whole drama.
We've had some hot messes on the tour, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I've been there and experienced that before myself. The one guy who's like just had a few after he got off work or whatever he's doing, shows up and he's going through. We were at the Camarillo State Hospital back when it was shut down, and we were investigating the state hospital, and he's just like going off on his own. He's got his like these work construction boots on, and he's like walking on the wooden floors, and it's just a mess. Just a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to kick 9 people off one night.
9 people?
9 people for being they were from Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not used to wine. And it was a birthday party. And first they tried to fight us. And then we had to kick them off because one of the guys fell down and they didn't want to pay, and I took pictures of them, and I sent the pictures the next morning, and I said, here's pictures of you. My PayPal address is this. And they ended up paying. So, but it was a very, very scandalous tour that night.
Wow. See, those are the time you guys got to have once in a while just to get your technique down and how you handle that situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Totally keeps us on our toes. Yeah, we've had some crazy things happen in downtown Napa. I mean, and none of it is paranormal.
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly normal, but it's not paranormal. But
right. There's some supernatural about it. I don't know though.
It's its own monster of itself, It's
Exactly.
Yeah, there is a lot of spirit activity in Napa, though. It just is very, very active, and it's home to a few serial killers. So we have quite
Napa?
a few, at least 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And the last public execution in California, that's public execution, happened in Napa. It was 1897, January 15th.
And it was a serial killer. So
sold tickets
we
to the
that
event.
Story on the tour.
They did?
Yeah, sold tickets to the event. They had bleachers built. They put a whole big like circus tent around it.
Some guys out there selling popcorn. Sure.
Yeah.
There was a guy like me selling T-shirts, hey,
Yeah, I get it. That's what you could do in the Roman Coliseum. They have exhibitions and they would just sell the place out.
Give them games and bread. Everything will be fine.
Wow.
Right.
But it's one of those things you don't think about serial killers when you think about Napa. When I hear about Napa, I think about wine.
Do you know about the asylum, the Napa State Hospital?
No.
It was an asylum built in 1859, and it looked like it was a Kirkbride building. So it looked like all those institutions back east that look like castles with turrets and things like that. It was in operation. Well, it's actually still in operation. They just don't want to talk about it. Because it's federal now.
I want to go investigate.
We are working on getting on the grounds because it's federal and state. So we have to stay on the state side. And there is an old cemetery there that they are finally renovating and putting names on the graves because they were only numbers. And in
like numbers and stuff, or some kind of serial code.
Yeah, and in the 1920s, they stopped burying and they started cremating, so that we have a memorial garden at one of our cemeteries for all the patients that were there. But it was corrupt as hell, and it was, of course, run terribly. And there's a lot of things like Monty the Maniac Baby, who they put him in an institution at the age of 4, and this is an adult institution, no other children at all.
That's a great punk band name.
Yeah.
Maniac Baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Napa is not known for its darkness, so we always like to share the darkness on the tour. We share darkness.
Darkness and wine.
Yeah. Because you can only learn, you can learn about wine all day long, and anywhere you can learn about wine. But dark history is something else.
Who actually learns about wine? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you taste it, this is not a good one for me. Well, this one's a great one for me.
Right. So, and actually, the asylum.
Yeah.
Actually, they had their Johnny Cash moment, didn't they?
Oh yeah, the Cramps played there in 1979. They played a concert.
I'm a huge Cramps fan. I've seen that. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Black and white footage, and they're just bringing it. So great.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And we did, Devin, I was mentioning to Stefan earlier about our sip and seance, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we talking about the one we just did? Or,
yeah. Well, both of them.
Okay. So we started a couple different things. We do a sip and seance, which there's the Vintners Collective, which is a huge tasting room in an old stone building. It used to be a brothel. And it's very haunted.
No, he's frozen.
Right. He says brothel. He freezes up.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I'm very popular in some of those old brothels.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you were. Okay, you froze for a second.
Talking about a brothel.
Yeah, so brothel.
Yeah.
It's
kidding.
frozen.
I didn't freeze up. Okay.
Knock it off, Devin Sisk.
I'll go put my name on the board. So it's a brothel. It's very haunted, and we did wine tasting, and we also did a seance there, and we had some amazing activity. We kept people going for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
We had 17 guests, and it was a fantastic time. People, amazing. It's funny Okay. One of my favorite things to do is to open people's eyes to the paranormal. Okay. And, we always tell people, if you're skeptical coming on the tour, that's fine. We got large doses of history. You can enjoy that. And, it's not our job to convert you or to sell the paranormal. Okay. We're going to give you the tools and we're going to see how it goes. But we do have some timeshare that we have. Paranormal timeshare, which is a new idea. Haunted places. You'll love it. The cool thing is the other night we had one guy who was very skeptical, and you could tell he was just like, very, very skeptical. Mm-hmm. Slowly, each step we took that night, he was coming more and more enlightened on the paranormal. And by the end of the investigation, he was like, how do we show you love? How do we, compliment you guys on this, because you guys are fantastic. And he goes, I've learned so much tonight. And, he realizes that the paranormal is a real thing. And when you see somebody go from, forget about it, to all of a sudden they have a little bit of an understanding and their eyes have been opened a little bit to the paranormal, that's a great moment. That's a fantastic moment. And
starting that fire and watching it grow,
Yeah. And that happened the other night. And right, Elle?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. He was, he was teasing me at first when we were downstairs, and he was teasing me. And then by the end of the night, it was all hugs and I'm amazed. So, it was huge. And everybody had a good time and lots of wine was sampled.
Yeah. Spirit. That's awesome.
And the tickets weren't bad. The tickets were like $50, but that included everything. It included all your tastings and everything else, and which wine tasting is not cheap to do in Napa. So it was well worth it. It was a good ticket.
That's awesome.
We just started a new thing too. We used to call it our sippin' seance, but now we're calling it the paranormal. What is it?
Paint night.
Paranormal paint night. Okay, because Ellen and I have collected over the last 22 plus years that we both investigated. Ellen a little bit longer than me.
Oh yeah. Remember who signs the check?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Hey, boss. Sorry. We've collected items. We've collected, things from different haunted buildings. We've collected things from, just different cases that we've worked. People have donated, creepy stuff, haunted stuff, bad energy stuff, things like that. So what we do is we take it, we just get it, and then our people come in. We don't tell them anything other than, yes, this is from our haunted museum. Very, very cool. They drink a little bit, eat a little bit, depending on where we're at. And then we do a seance. And they have an easel and paint in front of them. And it's their objective to tap into an item and paint the impressions of what happened to that item and what the story is or that spirit. And I'll tell you what, it has been a mind blower for us because people are a lot more in tune than they actually think they are. Because all of a sudden
we've got painting faces and stuff and different things.
Well, like the last one, I'm not going to say what item it was, but the last one we did, there was 4 different people focusing on this particular item, and they were all painting different stages of a fire. Okay. And you could literally put them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you could see every stage of what happened to this little girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
good stuff.
it's pretty amazing. And then there's other items that people just pick up and they're just instantly tapping into what it is.
We're also inviting them to paint the ghosts of the location because it's a haunted location usually as well.
Yeah, that too. So, but it's become an ongoing experiment. At first it was like, oh, this is a new way to bring people in, right? Well, it's actually become a serious experiment now.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It really is.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Mm-hmm. And that just gives an idea of people what they're really tuning into, what their abilities and their strengths, and they don't even realize it. Like, well, I don't even know how I came up with that. I don't know what's going on. It's like,
the cool part is like after everybody's done or the time's up, okay, we'll sit there and break down what they painted. And I'll go, we'll ask them, okay, what did you paint? This. Okay, well, what you have on your board here, this matches the story this way. And we break down everybody's painting. I mean, every now and then we get a couple where we're just like, I don't know what you got, but you're picking up something. But usually everybody else is dialed in. The other, remember the one guy who was kind of a Chad? Khaki pants and golf shirt. Here's the hat backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice guy. He's a nice guy, but Chad looking. Looks like he spends too much time in the gym, and goes to Delta Phi Kappa. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but again, real nice guy. In case you're watching. He painted the impressions of this one doll. He picked one doll and he put it here and he painted the impressions he was getting, and he didn't understand what he was, painting. Okay. And he painted a stairway going straight on up. And then he painted a silhouette of a man standing at the very top of the stairway.
Wow.
Like that guy was looking down at whoever was in the basement. Well,
the doll was at the foot of the stairs.
Yeah. And that's what happened to the little girl. She was in the basement.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he got the whole picture.
Yeah.
So he got way more than he bargained for on that one.
Yeah. So. It's so interactive. That's what I love about it, because it is people tapping into their own psychic self. You're not just talking at them and telling them stuff. They're actually experiencing it, which you want them to.
Yeah.
And they really hope to have an experience, and that's something that we want to give them.
That's great, because they're already there because they're interested in what's going on, and then you give them the tools and they can actually create what's going on with that, and they get that connection, and that just starts them out. They're like, wow, this is crazy, and all of a sudden they're somewhere and they're teaching other people how to start doing this kind of stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And then we had one lady that painted. Remember, she painted the doll and she wouldn't take it home because she was scared. She scared herself.
Oh, right.
We still have that painting in our storage unit. She was so
freaked out.
Yeah.
She was freaked out. She's like, you guys have to take this.
She's like, my husband wouldn't like this. I'm not bringing this home with me. So.
And of course, I responded, well, we can put it in a frame for you.
There you go. Yeah. With flowers on it, so it's happy.
Yeah, it's beautiful now. Look at it. You're okay.
So out of your guys' experience together, We've only got about 10 minutes left. So tell me one of the most craziest thing, or your top thing that has happened on your investigations.
It would be the ride.
Yeah, 100% the ride.
Yeah.
100%. So we were doing an event, and we had 75 people at the ride hotel with us. And the ride hotel was a 1920s hotel, and the bottom was actually built as a speakeasy. Okay. Like you see it from the freeway, and it looks like just a downstairs storage area. Okay. Until you came around the backside, and then you would see that, there was a bar in there. I mean, it still has the stashes where you pull the lever, the bottles would drop. It has troughs where they used to throw the alcohol if they heard the words raid. It has a couple tunnels going off to the side like that. Now, this place is a lot of fun. Okay. And to me, it's like New Year's Eve every night there. And we've worked we've done a lot of work there. So the spirits know us there. Okay. And Ellen and I never want to put somebody, especially somebody new, in a bad situation where they're going to be uncomfortable and they're not going to like it. Okay. So, or even just have something attack them. We don't want to do that. That's not what we do. We want them to have a good experience in the paranormal. We want them to walk away with knowledge and excitement. Okay. So we set the speakeasy up to do kind of an old world seance. Okay. And Ellen and I have a very set routine when we do a seance. I slow everybody's energy down and kind of gather everybody's energy in. And when I feel it's time, I squeeze her hand, and she calls upon the spirits of the hotel or the building or wherever we're at. She'll call upon the spirits. So here I am. I'm calling, bringing everybody's energy in. We're harnessing up. And I squeeze her hand. Nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe she's dialing in. Everybody does work differently. Maybe she's dialing in still. Squeeze her hand again. Nothing. So I'm like, what the hell? Okay. So then I'm like this, my eyes are closed. I'm holding her hands. And then I look down at her like this. She is face down on the table, just out cold. Okay. So I'm like, okay, this isn't good. Grab her hand, and Gail Riley, who's on our team, I grab their hands, I put it together, I step out of the circle. I go behind Ellen, and I'm pushing energy on her back, and I go down by her face, and I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Nothing. And I'm like, Ellen, are you okay? She turns and looks at me like this. And it's a guy with a full beard. Okay? Like, her face isn't there. It's a guy with a beard. And I'm like, oh, hell no. So I start pushing energy-wise, and I push this guy back out. And all of a sudden, Ellen pops her head back like this, and she looks at me. She goes, what are we doing? I go, seance. She goes right into the seance. Now, we still have 75 people there. Okay, so I have to act like nothing happened because I don't want to freak everybody out. And nobody's noticed. So I'm like, okay, other than Gail. Gail noticed. So I'm like, okay, so everybody, you're going to go to the first floor. You're going to go to the second floor. You're going to go out to the bridal suite. You're going to go here. You're going to go here. All right, everybody, break. Ellen, come here and talk to Devin. I go, where the hell were you? And she goes, I was standing over there watching you. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who this ever ran into him before. And what it was is this hotel is on the Sacramento Delta. And it used to be Old Hollywood. And again, it used to be a speakeasy and, of course, a brothel. But that night, the mother of all storms
You
came
said the
in.
word again.
What's
Yeah,
that?
brothel.
Brothel. Brothel. So the brothel, but the storm came in, and this storm was like really bad. And we believe he came in on the storm. He was a rider on the storm, if you will.
Nice. Yeah.
And the entire night, everything was off the board. Everybody was having crazy activity. So,
and there was thunder and lightning, and the roof of the hotels was leaking, and
yeah, it was great.
There was water down the walls.
Moment ever.
Yeah.
I did pull Ellen's card though, because our team does look after each other. And I said, "You're done for the night. I don't care what happens." I said, "You go back to your room. Just go to bed." I said, "You're nothing, and we'll do that. If, we see that one of our team members or one of us is not right, and, we'll pull each other's card." So
that's an important thing to do. Safety.
Absolutely.
You just can't push it to the point where it's unsafe anymore,
Right.
You got to reel it back in.
That one was really scary. And we've gone back a few different times there. And he is always trying to
push.
Yeah, he's always trying to push and get at Ellen. So it's
I don't sleep in the hotel when I stay there. I stay out in the bridal suite out inside.
Yep.
Because I don't want to be in the hotel with him. It's not that I'm afraid of him. It's just that I don't want to be, with his energy. It's so dark.
It'll drain you and do all these things. It's
Yeah.
not comfortable. You can't really get rest like that.
Right.
Because after a seance, you got to go back and re-energize yourself, by yourself.
Yeah.
Thing.
Definitely.
My cat is causing havoc over here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what her deal is. So, yeah.
So what's coming up for you guys next? What's your next adventure?
Well, we're going to this really cool Paracon in June.
I heard about that.
Yeah, we're doing that. We do tours. So our tours are still going away.
We're going to be going to CreepyCon, which is in September. It's in Ontario. We have an online store called Red Cat Curious Goods. That's what we were selling.
Cool.
Purses and stickers and macabre and goth stuff. And so we travel around doing cons and things like that. And we'll probably do some more sip and seance or sip and paranormal paints during the summer as well.
That'd be cool. I want to see that.
Supernatural paint job. No, that doesn't sound
Well, awesome.
Brothel.
Well, let me know. You guys have things coming up you guys want to promote, let me know. And
okay.
We'll talk about it. Absolutely.
Will do.
So we are out of time, so we're gonna have to wrap. Thank you guys both for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Just so you know, Barry Conrad is super excited you guys are coming. He's been talking about you guys for a couple of years now.
Love Barry. Barry's amazing.
Barry.
Yeah, he's all, they're coming. I gotta go. I gotta be there. I'm like, of course, Barry. Sure. I do a lot of stuff with Barry out here. We do a few documentaries together.
Yeah.
Hang out. So he's gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm sure you're gonna love the building. The 100-year-old haunted theater with over 100 spirits that are they're all amazing. I love every single one.
Love doing theaters. Love doing theaters.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the theater spirits are a different kind of crowd,
Oh, they're big time. Big time.
Yeah,
I actually did one theater where I ran into a guy who was a method actor, and he actually believed he was King Henry VIII still.
Sure.
So,
cool.
Talked in this horrible English accent. It was just like all over the place with it, But it was great. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
How cool is that? long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. As long as the spirits are having fun, that's the best part. So, all right, you guys, one more time, everybody. Ellen and Devin, this is, you guys can follow them right here at napaghost.com. Make sure you check it out. See what they do. If you're up in that area, make sure you go take some of their tours. And if you get to do the spirit and painting thing when they're trying the wine and you're painting pictures, check that out. Let us know what you guys find. It'd be great to hear from so many people who are actually on that experience. So once again, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. I know it's getting late, but I do appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.
All right. Don't go anywhere yet. I'm going to wrap up the show and I'm going to talk to you guys right after that. Okay?
Okay, great.
All right. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
So I hope you guys had a chance to really go check out their page, sign up for their events. Great people to work with, a lot of fun, like you guys are seeing here. But make sure you guys go, spend some time with them. Let us know what you guys think. And we'll hopefully see you guys, or some of you guys who are in the California area, at the Pacific Coast Paracon at the Majestic Ventura Theater. Make sure you come by, say hello. I would love to see you guys there as well. So with that being said, that's going to be it for this show. We will see you guys next time right here on My Darkest Hour.
My name is Stefan Brigati, and I've been investigating the paranormal for over 30 years. Come along with me and my team as we take a journey into the unknown. This is My Darkest Hour.